Hi there and good day, Mr. Automation back with a video on PowerShell and specifically on PSReadLine. There's a module available and I will show you what it can do. Let's switch to a code editor and open a PowerShell here. And I just start typing something, git. So for instance, now what you see on my screen is like a sort of a suggestion, right? And if I press my end arrow, like I can accept that suggestion. I can actually run that command by pressing enter, right? So for instance, I wanted to run this command, I can actually do that. Get it from history, don't type it over and over again. So this video is about how to make your life more easier, I think, in your shell by utilizing your history, all right? So let's go back here. So there is a command line, command let get-psreadlineoption. You run that. You can configure some colors and such, but we're not focusing on that today. What we are focusing on is this history save path property, and specifically the value of that, right? So that points to a file. And we put that on the clipboard and open that file. Inside of this file is basically your history of your shell or your PowerShell, the things you run in the past and such and such. And when you start a new shell, basically there's never any history in PowerShell, right? It's not like Linux. You can do history and see whatever you type like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. It's all there up to a specific amount. You know, you can limit that to a specific amount of entries, but that information is there. And in PowerShell by default, it's not there. And I think it's very convenient to have it there, and even with the sort of an auto suggestion. And you can play even what that auto suggestion is suggesting to you, right? So let's, with wildcards and such, but let's first go back to the code editor here, and we're going to find this module, this PSReadline module, right? So let's first find that module. That lives inside of the PS gallery. It's from Microsoft, I think. But even other parties also upload modules there, so it's not only from Microsoft, by the way. But there's a PSReadline module available. That's more important, right? So, and there's also a version here, as you can see. What you can do if you don't have it available yet, I already have it available. You can install it by running this command. Install module -name PSReadline -force minimum version 2.2.6. And if I do that, then I can actually do it. It doesn't harm. Probably won't give me a warning. Yeah, exactly. It's already in use, but it doesn't matter. So what we can then do is look inside of this PSReadline module that we just imported and see what kind of commandlets are available or functions are available to us, right? So let's run this. If you run this, you have some key values here, right? Key value pairs, and basically these on the right side are the commandlets available inside of the PSReadline module, right? So yeah, what we can then do is perhaps you see here this set-psreadlineoption, right? We already did the get. You're only focusing on that history file, but with the set we can configure some stuff there. So let's first get the manual on that, or the get help, whatever you want to call it. And as you can see, it accepts quite some configuration, things like history, duplicates, and such, and which VI, mode indicator, and such. So there's quite some options available. I'm going to look at a couple of them that I think are the most important. The rest you can figure out on your own, I guess. So what we have is set PSReadlineoption -prediction view style. So that's how it's predicting you, providing you with suggestions, I would rather say. And if I run this command, this will configure the prediction view with an inline view. So if I start typing, I will do git again or do get TCP, something like that. I probably run it in the past. TCP, a counter, that's fine as well, as you can see. And even run it. But as you can see, I didn't need to type all this over and over again, you know. So I'm just utilizing already because I checked my processor already some time ago, and I can basically just now rerun that command very easy, right? With a sort of auto completion, yeah. And what you can also do is set the prediction view style to a list view. So when we do that, and I'll clear the screen for the sake of the demo, and if I start typing now, all of a sudden I get way more suggestions, right? And if I start typing even more, get pull for instance, I only get the suggestions that are applicable for that, right? So you can use your imagination, type a little bit more or less, and you get more suggestions, right? See, pull, add, revert, and then what you can do with the arrow down and up, you can basically select, let me run this revert command, right? Or reset head to mark. And I think it's quite nice to have this available inside of PowerShell. It makes your life easier for sure. At least it makes my life easier, because perhaps I'm a lousy typer. I don't know what it is, but I'm kidding. But for me, it's very convenient to have this history available. What's also important to note is that we just figured out that this history save path points to a text file, and inside of the text file is your history, right? What you can do is with this set-psreadlineoption minus prediction source, you can specify which source you want to use for your suggestions in your shell, right? I have it now set to history. There's also an option to use a plugin. You can disable it. You can use history and plugin, I think. I think disabling it is, I mean, then I think you have no history at all, perhaps what is in memory, so it's quite useless, I think. So I have it set to history here, and what this does, so if you run this command, is basically utilizing this file that I just showed you as an input suggestion for this. So I will prove that to you by, for instance, running this command. It doesn't really matter, but if I search this same command, I need to be specific there. Well, if I copy this and I go to this text file, and I should be able, of course it doesn't work, let me see, because I'm doing something wrong for sure. Yeah, so what I did, I had just a lousy editor, I guess. So I opened it now in Visual Code, and so you see that here, I opened that specific history file in code, and what we saw here is when you go back in, so for instance, I searched on this part here, I put that there, and then you can actually find some entries. So, and as you can see here, this command is probably exactly the same as the one that we executed before, as you can see, right? So it's almost the same, so probably there are more still here available, of course, as you can see. And so yeah, this is what I wanted to show for the history part, or the prediction source. There's also another option, and that is this one, the edit mode. And as you can see here, set PSReadlineoption minus edit mode, Windows, Emacs or VI. So which code editor you use, or text editor, right? You can configure that. So the default Windows, you can configure Emacs, and you can also use VI if you find that convenient, right? So you can use that. Another commandlet is set PSReadline key handler. And what that is doing, and I honestly don't know precisely, I must be honest, and I'm always honest, but you can get into the manual of that. Perhaps you can find some interesting stuff. Yeah, what you can see here is, for instance, you can set the PSReadline key handler minus short to a specific string. And I found out that the up arrow was, for me, most convenient, but you can configure different keys there, of course. And there's also something like a function, and that function accepts some input, and I did history search backwards. So basically that file gets, this file here, all these entries, these 3500 entries get loading into memory, so to speak. And then it searches backwards for the first hit it finds when you do like this git pull, for instance. It takes the last entry from that file and tries to suggest that. But there's also accept and get next. I haven't played with that. Accept line, accept next suggested word, accept suggestion, add line. As you can see, there's lots and lots and lots and lots of options there. And I configured the history search forward there, but you can also search, or backwards, I mean, backwards, but you can also search forward, so it takes the first entry first. Yeah, there's one more thing to make it even more convenient. There's two more things, by the way. There's also a maximum history count. So basically what we can do is, let's first do a get-psreadlineoption. Then we have a maximum history count that's currently set to 4096, right? So that means that 4096 entries are possible. And if you reach that limit, of course, the first one get deleted, and then that file accumulates over time by always writing the last entry and deleting the first one. But you can configure this maximum history count with the set-psreadlineoption to a different amount. Let's try that. Let's do that here. Let's clear the screen like that. And yeah, it already made a suggestion for me, by the way. I just put in maximum history count, already suggested, do you want to type this? Yes, I want that. And let's now see, go back, get-psreadlineoption, and if you now go back here, let's see if it actually configured. Yeah, maximum history count is now set to 16,384. So that's that. Like I said, there's one more thing, and it's more of a concern for me. Now, there's actually two things. This get-psreadlineoption doesn't work very well on PowerShell that ships with Windows, right? So the .NET 4.8, I don't know where they're on now, but on .NET Core it actually works fine, and also on Linux it works also sort of the same. So that's quite cool. So I needed to mention that. And there's one more thing to mention, that is security-wise. So like I showed you, this command line, or this commandlet, I mean, this history save path value here, this file that I had open here. Just imagine that in the past you typed some command and perhaps you added a username and a password there, right? To get something quickly fixed, and didn't use any automation tooling like where you encrypt the credentials and such, or these kinds of things, or use a vault. But perhaps you didn't do that, you know, it was typing around in your shell. And the same goes for Linux, by the way. This is captured, right? And this is accessible to anyone else that has access to that file, at least. So imagine sitting around on a stepping stone server, and of course we share it all together. And if I'm an administrator on those boxes, I can actually get into the content of that file, right? Quite easily, and look into your history and perhaps get some interesting passwords. So yeah, just be aware of that, that sometimes this file, you need to clean it up, perhaps, you know, perhaps you have some script that runs every 15 minutes on your system that perhaps cleans up these suspicious entries, you know, with, when something like password is found, but it's very hard to detect, of course. But just be aware of it, that is captured in this file, and it can stay there for a long time. So yeah, that's a little bit of a security concern, but apart from that, it's great to have, to be fair. Just be aware that you don't type any password in your shell, and if you do so, just go to this file, delete that specific entry, and then it's not available anymore, right? That's more safe. So that was the concern I had. Apart from that, I think I showed everything, right? With setting the list view and the inline view and the list view, the difference of that's important. Show that once more. First, I leave it the way it is now. If I start typing now, I get a couple of suggestions and I can scroll through them. If I now run this prediction style, I set it to inline view, and I start typing, I only get one suggestion. You can cycle through it with Control S, I think, or I don't know out of my head. I have a video for that, by the way, how you can search through the history as well. But I rather have it on this list view. For me, it's just more convenient to use my arrow keys and then select what I want, like Git, you know, and then I have a list of available options I can select from and press enter and then actually execute that command. Yeah, that's it. So I would say thanks for watching, and I hope you will use it as well in your script. I think it will make your life easier. At least for me, works great. Thanks for watching. See you again.